Hey everyone, Tactics here with my 6th commentary video, this time running you guys through a plus 22 Spires of Ascension. If you're interested in any of the other dungeons, you can find those walkthroughs over on my channel, with the last couple that I haven't done showing up shortly. If you haven't seen one of my commentary videos before, basically I'll be going through my advanced route for this dungeon, talking through the pulls as they happen and explaining how we handle them. I'll also be showing you guys some potential route or pull adjustments that you can make depending on what the affixes are that week or what your group composition is. Also, this route in particular for the Spires run, I think we did make some mistakes on, and I'll explain what that is and why and what I think we should change when we actually get to those pulls. With all that said, remember, if you learned something, be sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel for more content like it, and let's get started. So right off the bat, we basically double pull. We pull this first 3-pack, next 3-pack, and the Goliath, Bloodlust, and all CDs here. This is a really, time efficient pull. Get your lust on CD ASAP, which is important for this dungeon. You can squeak in an extra lust depending on your where you're lusting, and this is a good one, good value here. Even on tyrannical weeks, we do this lust. This is a fortified week, so you get more value from it in this case. But even tyrannical weeks, we do this. You just need kicks specifically on the Goliath. We have a shaman who can cover every single Goliath kick, so that makes that a little bit easier. If you don't have a shaman, you'll need to send 2 kicks on that Goliath. And then the other important thing is a stop for the Mender. It doesn't have to be a kick. You can just stun it here after the cast goes out. We have an extra kick at this point, so I can use a kick there. But you don't need to. And then you need kicks on the Castigator mob, specifically their Burden of Knowledge, because that it doesn't quite one-shot on the 22, but 2 ticks of it will one-shot, or well, I guess 2 ticks of it will kill a player. So it either needs to be dispelled in one global, or the player dies, essentially. So you want to try and get all those kicks. Basically, we just I probably could have chained into this pack a little bit quicker, especially if the Goliath dies slightly slower. We have a decent amount of funnel in this group, so the Goliath dies relatively the same time as the other mobs, but if we didn't have funnel, well, we could just pull that Goliath at like 40% HP or whatever up to this pack and be just fine. Just be sure you're still getting those kicks while you're moving up. One annoying thing, Spiteful, as you're going to see here, you're going to have to kill all these shades before you're allowed to take this teleporter. Little bit annoying. It definitely takes away a bit of your time in this dungeon, but you can still time it just fine. It's just a little bit annoying with Spiteful. Not much to talk about here. We just do this Tormentor alone. If you're feeling crazy, I've seen some people try and pull the Tormentor into the pack above. I don't think that's going to work very well on high keys, because you have to blow all of your CDs on that first pull. Like you see, I don't even have Incarn yet, so 3 minutes are not back up. If you had really, really good 2-minute burst, it might be back up, like if you're running like a Night Fae Hunter or something like that. But I wouldn't do it. I would just use Arcolith until your CDs regen a little bit more, and then pop those on the trash pack. Not too much to talk about here. This trash pack coming up, very similar. We just send 1 shaman, or if you don't have a shaman, 2 kicks on the Goliath. I can fast forward a tiny bit too. Onto the Goliath. Rest of the kicks are jumping into the Castigator with stops on the Doctrine, just like that, see? But even the Dark Lashes at this point, 2 of them almost kill someone, so it's not terribly scary when there's a single Castigator, but there are some pulls that have more than 1 Castigator, and those are just very, very scary. So any Dark Lash kicks on high fortified weeks, very, very good to do. Other than that, though, not too much to talk about there. We go straight into boss. Not a super interesting boss either on fortified or tyrannical. It's very long, not too difficult though. Really not too much happening in here. Just don't touch that beam like this. Just defensive there. But avoiding the bolts, just leaving when they're together as much as you can. And then here it is a easy time to convoke as a tank. You're not taking any damage, so it's a pretty free damage convoke. And not really much to talk about here. The interesting thing I think is actually our choice after this. So this is kind of where I think we've made a mistake. But I think after this we should do the double pull left. Now originally we had a mage in this comp instead of the shaman, And what that let us do is let us Ring of Frost to group all the mobs here. Now without that Ring of Frost, LOSing down here at the bottom, it was quite difficult because the mobs weren't quite grouped. They would jump all the way back up the hill, or the stairs rather. It's a pain, so we took that out of this route. Now recently we have seen another way to pull that group and group it up very, very nicely without a mage. Let me see if I can get a good view of it here in a second. Okay, so you can have people W key into that corner right there, just your entire party just running into that little corner right there, and that counts as LOS for everything up here. You can just have your tank run up, pull all the stuff up here, the pack with the Ether Divers and the 3-pack of Spear guys over here, run back, start running into this corner with everybody, and they will all group up right here. And if anything jumps back up over here, you just continue to run into that corner, have your entire party run into that corner, and the mobs will group back up. Still a very high tank damage pull. That is a rough tank damage pull. Aegis, very, very good for that pull though, at least initially, because you're going to take a ton of upfront damage from those skirmishers as the tank. But that is a way that you can group that pack very, very easily. It's honestly, I would almost argue that it's better than the Ring of Frost pull, but regardless, they're both very, very good. They're very, very efficient pulls. That pull is pretty efficient. It actually lets you skip a squad leader pull later on in the dungeon that we end up doing. So that is something that I think probably is the play to do, especially on higher fortified keys. It's a scary tank pull, but basically tanks just got to figure it out and live. My guess is committing something like Aegis to that pull up front, and then probably a charge of Survival Instincts, and then coming this side here and doing this pull. So we basically pull all these Stealth Claws together. We grab the Praetor, and I believe we commit Earth Ellie. There's also something, I think what we should have done differently here is I should have timed my Incarn a little bit better. I used it on the boss fight because I wanted Incarn for the next pull, but I think this is a pretty poor Earth Ellie pull. Just this kind of damage, Earth Ellie is not great against. It dies pretty quickly. It doesn't really get too much value. And so I actually think, like, see there, it gets the aggro and then immediately dies. I actually think the play would be to Incarn this pack. And then lets me stay in a bit more, lets me do a ton more damage to this pack in particular, basically live through a bunch of high stack bleeds, and let everyone do a little bit more damage, since again we're running triple melee, and then we'll use Earth Ellie on the next pull. So I think that's one change I would make here. Incarnals was just really good at mitigating that bleed damage, right? Just the big absorbs every global. One of the better ways for Guardians to deal with that bleed damage, aside from committing their DRs, of course. But after this is dead, we just do some run-in, and we get over to the pack on the right side still. And what we do here is we do... What are we waiting for? Oh, he was drinking. What we do here is we blind the Praetor, and regroup this pack up, and on top of this double Goliath pull. So again, double Goliath pull. We have a Shaman. The Shaman will get all of the kicks on one Goliath. We assign 2 kicks to the other Goliath, and I'm a backup. This would be perfectly fine, though, with not a Shaman. Any 4 kicks, as long as you have 4 kicks in your group, so you don't have like a Shadow Priest or a Boomkin or something, you can do this pull. Even with a Boomkin or a Shadow Priest, if you just kill one Goliath fast enough, you can still do this pull. So it's not too bad. But we don't add that second Praetor because this is an extremely high tank damage pull, and we don't quite have the burst damage to eliminate something quickly enough that is worthwhile. A mistake I think we made. We should have committed Lust here, and you'll notice it wasn't quite up when we came into this pack, but if you do what I said before and actually pull that left side, you will have Lust for this pull, and I think that will make pulling that Praetor in not only a lot safer, because, you know, it'll help my own personal healing and then the healer's healing, but also help us kill these mobs way faster, so I'll be in danger for a lot less time, and it lets you chain into this pack with Bloodlust still, and that is an absolutely huge time save. Huge time save. It makes it way safer, way more efficient, and just saves you a ton of time. So I think that is the play, is lusting this pack, not CCing the Praetor, and then chaining that into the next pack once you've killed the Goliaths, or at least one of the Goliaths. while you still have some Bloodlust. The reason we were saving Bloodlust is this was actually our first like higher Spires key, and we weren't sure if we needed Bloodlust or not to kill the spear pull. We're going to do a little later, maybe like 2 minutes after this. So we wanted to make sure we did that pull well, and so we held Lust for that. This does end up scuffing one of our lusts, so we completely miss a lust by not lusting there, because lusting there is almost lusting on cooldown, right? If we had lusted there, it would have been basically on cooldown, right? So I think that's the play. It lets you not scuff an entire lust, which is very, very good, because we're only getting 3 lusts, but we definitely should have been able to get 4. So yeah, that's kind of that reasoning about changing those pulls there. Here, simple pull, just a 4-pack. I could have done a better job of aiming where the skirmisher is so he doesn't kind of jump away. We had the Kyrian Spirit at the beginning, so I didn't really bother. But if you don't have that, just make sure it's kind of back to a wall somewhere so it doesn't jump away super, super far. Rogue is just distracting the pack up there because it's in a pretty good spot. And we want to do the spear pull here. So we just kill this pack, and stuff is grouping up nicely. We finish it off, and we run up, and this is where we commit Lust to. We ended up doing this afterwards without Lust. Like I said, doing the Lust, the old Lust, the previous Lust on the pack, and not lusting this, it worked out just fine. So you can do this pull without Lust just fine. Yeah, I think we had an aggro. Yeah, I think he actually just ripped aggro on the Goliath, the big enhanced funnel damage. Inquisitor, important here. So our Shaman was getting all the kicks on the Goliath. Everyone else should have been getting Inquisitor kicks. That cast should have never gone off. None of those Dark Lashes should have gone off. We should have coordinated kicks a bit better on this pull. Would have made it way cleaner. We still survived. It still went just fine. It should have been cleaner though. So make sure you have a couple kicks assigned to Goliath and a couple kicks assigned to getting Dark Lashes and the big kick. And that'll make that go way, way smoother, but you don't need to commit Lust to this. Spear and all CDs alone is enough, so just coordinate CDs. Make sure you have everything for that spear pull, and it'll just melt for sure. Now, we skip these two. I believe we distract it right there. We run right by, and you don't need the Angel. If you're mounted, you can just W key off this. We just jump, and you make it. You don't need a Mage. You don't need a Priest. You can just W key with a mount. I actually do think though we have pretty decent 2-target cleave in this comp. We should have killed those, I think. And that, alongside pulling left, and alongside one other pull, lets you skip 2 of the more dangerous pulls that we do. Well, one of them is dangerous, one of them is not great time-wise. And I think those would have been better routing in general. So what we do here, we CC that Inquisitor because there's a squad leader in this pull anyways. As you can see, the stuff here is relatively healthy still, like 60 to 80% health on the other mobs, so it's not the biggest loss. And we don't have to worry about kicking Dark Lash this entire time. So what we do is we just kill that squad leader. As soon as the squad leader dies, I pull this stuff up to the Inquisitor, break the CC. I think I just have to get the Doctrine first. And then we break the CC, get all the kicks on the Inquisitor, and we're full on the Inquisitor at this point. And that's what we do to make this way, way, way safer. The other thing we do here is we do end up pulling Oros. Oros is in the corner here, and this is hit and miss. So I think on higher keys, you will have to skip Oros, 100%. What we've found with Oros, specifically on tyrannical keys, but it also applies to higher fortified keys, is that he makes it so that it's extremely difficult for you to get out of your puddle when you're dispelled on the last boss without taking at least a tick of damage, and that hurts. That hurts very, very badly. It makes healing very rough on Devos, and sometimes, like, honestly, even on like up to a 24, 25 of this dungeon, you can pull aggressively enough earlier on with those pulls that I mentioned that you can have plenty of time. Like, you can have 6+ minutes going into the last boss, and that means that, like, you could just have killed Oros and still have 5+ minutes for Devos. Devos is a long fight. I will say that Devos is a very, very long boss fight, but I think you have the time in this dungeon that you can kill Oros up to a very high key level. But of course, getting to the highest cutting edge tier key levels, you'll have to skip Oros, I think. You just don't have enough time to kill Devos. For this level, though, I think we have the time to kill Oros. We go straight into this pack over here. This is a pack I'm talking about cutting out. If you pull left side, and then pulling the 2-pack that I mentioned before, and a Hellion later on lets you cut out a dangerous pack later on. This pack, not super dangerous. Obviously, it still has the squad leader frontal and a Praetor for your tank. But overall, it's not terribly dangerous, especially because you can time your incarn around having it for this pack very, very easily. So it's not too bad in that sense, but it's a squad leader pull. It's a big squad leader pull, so nothing really takes too much damage while the squad leader is alive. We don't have like a hunter to cheese through the damage, right? So the squad leader pulls just live a very long time, and they're pretty time inefficient, so any way we can kind of cut those out. And because we have really good 2-target cleave, having the 2-target squad leader pull with squad leader and the Praetor only, we actually don't lose much time because we're able to cleave off onto that Praetor or just do full like arms warrior damage, that kind of thing, onto the Praetor while ignoring the squad leader debuff, and that kind of, it makes up for the time because we basically don't lose any time by doing that squad leader, whereas this time we have to do the squad leader and then we also have to do the rest of the pull afterwards, right? So I think that is more time efficient specifically for our group comp. If you had something like a hunter though, wild spirits, or even just like here, like their AoE aim shot, I don't remember what it's called, trick shots maybe. Trick shots is insane on squad leader pulls. It's really, really good. So hunters are really good for it. We obviously don't have that, but I think even if you did have a hunter, I think the route I'm proposing is still better time wise. Definitely for us though, because of our 2-target cleave. Ventunax. Not too much here. We position the 2 things pretty close together and then move a little bit away from the circle. They despawn now, so you just put yourself in a spot where you can dodge it fairly easily. I even could be probably closer to the orbs there a little bit to make it a bit easier. And then they're all coming from one direction, so they're much easier to dodge this way. That bleed is still pretty rough. We have a single range comp, and what we're doing here is the warrior is actually intervening. The priest, every other bleed set, for the most part, so that can help mitigate damage. If you have a warrior, prot warrior, insane for this fight. You can intervene every other, especially if you have pretty few range, you can predict it. Even DPS warrior though, they're a much better target than a clothy, right? So it can be a little scary. I think he misses intervene there, but yeah, warriors able to intervene that bleed, very, very good. Kyrian file, also very, very good. Or Angel, yeah. I think we missed the intervene there, and he just didn't quite have enough for it. Unfortunate, but yeah, it hits very hard, and this is a 22 fortified, right? So imagine tyrannical. That's just scary. For those who don't know, you can jump up and catch that angel as it's running by. Doesn't save you very much time, but it's some time save at least. And so your next lust would actually be coming up here. What I've seen is you actually pull the lieutenant here, in this case it's Varuth, with the Hellion, and you lust that pull, and you're lusting in the correct spot. It would be a basically on CD lust, and you would definitely be able to fit in a lust on Devos then. So we don't pull the Hellion. Like I said, the Hellion would help make up for percent on a dangerous pack coming up that we're going to do. We found very, very dangerous on high spires. And you just commit lust to this for safety, because especially with Varuth, it's pretty rough. But on Arcolith, it's a little bit easier, but it's just a scary pull in general, because like Varuth does stuff like that. It's rough on Grievous Week for sure. Grievous Week, this Varuth on Grievous Week is just ridiculous, man. It's like high prideful on Grievous all over again. I don't know. I know it's probably really, really hard to make Grievous not operate for these lieutenants in particular. I have no idea how that would work, but it just feels so bad on Grievous Weeks. We do skip this in this one, but like I said, the Hellion will probably not be there. You can jump over the fire pit to skip it. We also just Mind Soothe to make it a lot easier. Skip this next pack up here with a sap. It's already sapped. Mind Soothe will also work. Paralyze and Ring of Peace will work. Imprison will work. Those kind of things. Poly, Freezing Trap don't work. You will get put in combat still. You can also use a 2-seater mount up on the edge or vent or teleport, those kind of things. This is the 4-pack I was talking about, very, very scary. See how many Dark Lashes get off, right? Because there are 4 major kicks that you have to get. We have 4 kicks in our group. We have to hold those kicks. I think this pack is only worth doing if you have a Boomkin. If you have a Boomkin to beam this pack, it all of a sudden becomes so much safer. But like, we have to use so many different stops on this pack, and like, if 2 Dark Lashes, I think you're gonna see 2 Dark Lashes go into the Shaman here. Just random target, 2 back-to-back go into the Shaman there, almost dead. Right? If this is 1 key level higher or any number of key levels higher, that's death, right? So that just bad luck, and having multiple Dark Lashes go off on the same person and they're dead. This is just such a scary pack, and I think it's better. You're better off cutting this pack out with our group comp. If you had a Boomkin, all of a sudden, pack on the menu maybe, but at least with our comp, I don't think that that pack is worthwhile. It's just too dangerous. And like I said, our 2-target cleave is good, so why not do the 2-target cleave pack instead of this twice, right? We do 2 2-target cleave packs instead of this, and I think that that's worthwhile, and that's pretty time efficient. Shroud right through here to boss, because we do have CDs available soonish, and basically they're going to save their big CDs for bursting in the damage amp phase. Notice I am baiting a little bit by stepping inside the boss model, and that will bait stomps. And you want to do this a couple times in the first phase just to kind of get to that intermission phase faster, and you'll want to do it a few times after the first one. You don't want to do it too many times in this first one. I don't, because it can push him too fast, like in a puddle type thing, which is bad. You don't want that. I don't know if I actually did that this time, but for safety, you can back up a little for that one. Yeah, we didn't do it this time, so that's good. So you want to make that space there. If you make him stomp 3 times, sometimes he'll just AFK in those puddles, right? And that's very bad. So you hear just everyone's popping big damage. Cooldowns even me. That's a Heart of the Wild convoke into the boss there. Pretty big damage. And then basically I eat these with defensives. Normally I would also commit Incarn here. Incarn is not up. Usually it is. I think I had to pop it on that 4-pack. I must have. But usually Incarn is up for this. But you see there, I didn't really need it either way. Guardian Druid's pretty tanky. You can commit a decent amount of CDs as long as you're aware the damage is coming, so you just save up and pre-plan for that. And at this point here, yeah, I'm standing in the boss model pretty much all the time, slightly backing up so I don't cleave the melee when the stomp goes out. And this is just trying to get more, as many stomp casts as possible. Boss is probably going to die before the next thing even goes out, but this is just a good habit to get used to doing. After we kill this boss, we're going to do the snap. I know I talked about the mini boss snap a little bit in my rooting video. A few people asked to see what it meant. So I don't actually have the warrior's POV because we have the warrior doing it in this case. But basically, see, he's running and he's going to immediately go up. And the rest of us are going to kill these angels. Now we just tag it LOS over here and get them down, kill all these guys, then we'll move to the other side and do the same thing there. This whole time warrior's just flying up pretty much, and basically what happens is that he tags the spear mini boss, Astronos I think it is, the guy on the left when you're facing them all, who has the spear ability. If you mouse over him, it'll show the buff on him that he has the spear ability, and it's, I believe at this point he gets up there and basically he just pulls that mob down. There's a spot you can backpedal off the top from, and then he just falls and he heroic leaps down onto the ground, and you'll see in a moment here Astronos is right there in the pack. He snaps down, and basically what this does is it means that the 2 mini bosses up there will not get the spear power. So you can do this for any of the 3 mini bosses. Astronos is the most consistent. We've tested it for all 3. Astronos comes down pretty much every time if you do it right. It's very repeatable, very consistent. The middle guy with the damage amp, we've been able to get him like 50-50. It's not quite as consistent as Astronos, but it's still decently consistent. Like, you can get him down if you I'm sure there's a way to get it down. We've practiced only a little bit, so if you try hard enough, I'm sure you'll be able to find a way to consistently replicate it. But for us right now, it's been 50-50. And on higher fortified keys, I don't think there's a universe really where you want to pull 2. It's very, very dangerous. Again, we have decent 2-target cleave, so maybe, but it's very scary. We haven't really tried snapping down the dot guy. I think we've tried a couple times to no success. So, but the other 2 are snappable, so I don't see why the 3rd one wouldn't be. The other 2 are. It might just be a bit of a different spot positioning wise or timing wise that we haven't tried yet, because we haven't tried extensively on that 3rd guy. But we just do the 1, we all head up, and then we do Lachesis, that's the middle guy, sorry, that's the damage amp guy. Do him next, just alone, making sure we're saving all big CDs for the burst on the last mini boss, because that guy is still spooky, and we're going to commit our Kyrian Spear and our Lust there. Again though, I think this is one where you wouldn't we would have lusted earlier on that Hellion Varuth pull, and I think this is one where we can do it without lust. We can do the spear without lust. We just spear again, still making sure we have all CDs and potting, and I think that is more than enough to get you through this mini boss. It's very scary still, for sure, especially Fortified Grievous. This is just a bad combo for this mini boss in particular. But on any other week, I think that's more than doable, and that lets you not scuff a lust like we've done in this dungeon. We're still going to time the key, but being able to get 4 lusts in as opposed to 3, I think is just overall much, much better for this dungeon, especially because you're still getting pretty decent value out of the other lusts. It's not like you're getting super low value lust, right? Exchanging high value lust for low value lust is never a good thing. But exchanging high value lusts for like medium to high value lusts also is I think is a pretty good trade-off if it means you get 1 more lust in the dungeon. So a little bit of changing on the lust timing to would let you lust Devos as opposed to this, because lust wouldn't be up quite for this, but I believe lust is up either 1st phase or 2nd phase Devos. Probably 2nd phase Devos, I believe it comes up with these timings. Maybe 1st phase, who knows, but I'm pretty sure it's 2nd phase Devos. Regardless though, getting an extra lust pretty good. Devos, so basically what would you do with Oros is you would do kind of what we're doing already. We see we're hard stacking here, baiting all the spear hits directly behind us so melee don't have to run very far. Try not to bait the spear hits super far away. We dispel 1 person out of the group, and then we hold this like that. That's pretty bad for melee uptime. Hold the 2nd dispel until after, and that person again just walks out, dispels it. The problem is, again, like I mentioned, with Oros, the person with the debuff has a hard time getting out of the circles. The circles just tick very, very hard, and it's pretty scary. You get 1 person out, get the dispel, other person just holds. If it's ever on me, I'm always the one that holds, just because of the ticking damage. But yeah, overall, this fight, that's just it. You just kind of repeat that the whole time. Don't miss the spear throw, that's bad. With Oros, notably, you're not slowed in this phase, so that's something to keep in mind, because the boss is technically out of range, so you're not affected by the auras during that intermission phase. So that's good to know. But I mean, yeah, this boss is just very, very long, even on Fortified. Honestly, could probably use a health nerf. I think that's one of the few bosses. This boss, I think, is just entirely too long, and the Mist's first boss. I think those are the only 2 bosses right now that I have some gripes with, especially on Tyrannical weeks. On Fortified weeks, they're not terrible, but, you know, those are the 2 bosses I think get hit with some sort of timing or duration of the fight nerf overall. But that pretty much does wrap up this walkthrough of plus 22 Spires of Ascension with the Tormented Seasonal Affix. As I mentioned earlier in the video, if you're interested in similar walkthroughs for the other Shadowlands dungeons, you can find those over on my channel, and be sure to subscribe to it for notifications on when I post more of them. If you've got questions regarding this video, Mythic Plus rooting, even just tanking in general, feel free to leave a comment down below, or you can actually drop by my Twitch channel at Tactics, and I'll do my best to answer. That is it for me though. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.